everyone, and welcome to Beginnings, the show that asks, where do creative people come from? My name is Andy. I'm the host of the show and a writer and performer based in Los Angeles, California. How are you doing this week? I'm going to keep this intro short. My neighbors are doing something. I'm not sure what, but it's loud. Moving something? I've heard loud thumps, things falling, and then I've heard a couple times a son of a bitch. So I'll keep this short in case that bleeds through the mic, because if there's one thing that's annoying, it's listening to the intro of a podcast and you hear loud crashing and people swearing in the background for the entire thing. Anyway, very good episode today. I'm very excited because my guest is Julianna Barwick, and if you don't know who she is, I'm going to read you her bio right now. Originally from Louisiana. I was about to say Louisiana. Doesn't sound right coming out of my flat Pennsylvania accented mouth. Originally from Louisiana, musician Julianna Barwick ended up in New York in the early aughts and self-released her debut EP, Sanguine, in 2006. Her first album, The Magic Place, came out on Asthmatic Kitty in 2011, and since then, she has released a dozen more albums, EPs, and collaborations on labels like Dead Oceans and Ninja Tune. Her latest, Tragic Magic, a collaboration with harpist Mary Lattimore, just came out in the middle of January on Infine, and it is just wonderful. Infine, it's a French label. I am so sorry. Again, I'm from Pennsylvania. We flattened everything. Anyway, I've been a fan of Julianna's music since probably her last album when it came out. That's when she first came across my radar, Healing is a Miracle. And then I went back to the beginning, and I've just been a big fan of her music, a big fan of Mary Lattimore's music. And so when their new album came out, I was like, I wrote their publicist. I was like, would they be interested in being on the show? And so this week is Julianna. Next week is Mary. Both really cool people. We get a lot into Julianna's early days in New York. We talk a lot about faith, religion, and a ton of other stuff. She's a very enthusiastic person, and I really enjoyed talking to her. I hope you like this episode. Coming up on the show, like I said, next week, Mary. I also just talked to the Lisas from the indie pop band Cub and Amelia Fletcher from Heavenly. Both of those were wonderful. So stay tuned for those, but for now, let's talk to Julianna. When I was in my most broke, which was years and years and years, when I was like both in grad school and then leaving grad school to come do comedy in New York.
Yeah.
All I was eating was fake turkey on toasted rye bread and with a salad from a bag. Those were my dinners.
I also lived in New York for almost 16 years. And my first year there, I had several $5 for food weeks. And I would go and I would get a bag of day-old bagels for like $1. And I would come home and I would slice them and freeze them. And I'd go to C-Town and get like a dozen eggs and like a package of like, you know, generic like American cheese or sliced cheese or something. And would just make eggs and bagels and cheese every which way you can imagine.
Yep. So Marcia's has a turkey, you know, real bougie fake turkey, arugula, some kind of like pesto-y thing. It's great. It's wonderful. And it's like the nice version of all those dinners that I used to have when I had when I was I was going to say no money, negative money, when I was paying off vet bills from years earlier, that I had moved from zero interest credit card to zero interest credit card every year.
Yeah.
That was, aren't those days fun?
The hustle's real.
And things are so much different now, aren't they?
I wish, you get it. The life of an artiste is, very unpredictable, and it's a roller coaster, and it's feast or famine, and you just kind of have to ride the waves. My older sister's an attorney in Oklahoma, and she's just always like, I don't know how you do this. I don't, and I'm like, I don't know how you do what you do, like, but I get it for like, a Capricorn lawyer. It's going to be like, how do you not know what next month looks like,
Uh-huh. Well,
Uh-huh.
let me ask you, because I know what it is in me, but what is it in you that allows you to continue? And by the way, thank you for including me in the realm of artiste, considering I write stupid jokes for TV shows that never get made. So,
Well, no, totally. I mean, we're all hustling. Wait, what was the question?
what is it in you that allows you
I love
to?
it. I love it. I love it. I started making this, like, I started looping. I was like dabbling, trying to figure out what I could do. And then, borrowed a friend's pedal and started making stuff with looping. And I was like, this is it. This is it. Um,
What
and
pedal?
then,
Is it
and
the Line
then,
6?
no, it was like a digi delay. It was like a
Mm-hmm.
guitar pedal, and it had like, if you held down one of the pedals, it would loop. So I made my first record that way. I'll skip a lot of the info, but just to answer your question, I went over there. I had never played a show outside of New York. I'd never played a show outside of like Pete's, Glasslands,
Pete's Candy Store.
or like Glass House Gallery, which is what it was before it was Glasslands. All those places. I'd never played outside of New York, and I played several shows in London and Lisbon in like late 2007, put together by internet strangers, angels. And I went over there and just had like the best time. I was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. This is the best. This like fits my constitution absolutely perfectly. So it's worth the panic, the sometimes panic over like, where's rent coming from? Because I just love it so much. And I truly feel like it's like what I'm supposed to be doing. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot there. I want to
Yeah.
start with the loops. What is it in your head or heart or body or whatever when you start doing that? What's going on where I'm going to say you settle, because I'm imagining it's the same kind of feeling when I listen to your music or something like that. Like my body settles
Yeah.
in a way that it doesn't if I'm just in the world.
Yeah.
Is that what's going on with you or internally or what's
I
happening?
mean, actually, it's more of a rush. And that's kind of
Wow.
what like got me hooked is like before that, I was like, I got an electric guitar with my Pell Grant from Hunter College at Manny's in Times Square, and I had like a a somebody gave me like a reverb or delay pedal or something, and I was like trying to be cat power, and it just like it wasn't happening. It wasn't gonna happen.
What you were
And
trying to be cat, but like you were specifically like this.
I mean, not actually, but like I was obsessed with her, and just I was like trying to
So
find my way, just trying to
yeah.
find my way. Like I can kind of pick stuff out by ear on piano and guitar, but I just like really hated like writing lyrics and stuff. I just would be like, ooh, like cringe. But then my friend, I was at his house, and this was like 2005, and he was like, Jules, check this out. And he was like looping something, and I was like, can I borrow that? And I borrowed it, and I had a Fostex 4-track cassette
Hmm.
recorder, and I just went crazy with that stuff. I had the digi delay pedal, and I had an effects pedal. It was blue. I can't remember what it was right now, but it had reverb, yeah, reverb. I don't think it had reverb and delay, but I I ended up with like a little bag of tapes, like a pillowcase of tape.
But for the listener, it looked like you were making a stabbing motion. Like
Oh, no, I'm not stabbing. I was like carrying my little pillowcase
sack.
of tapes.
You had a
Yeah.
sack in your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I had all these tapes, and like right away I I started looping, and it was just so fun, and it was, spontaneous, and it was exciting because I didn't know what I was going to do. I would just like lay down the first like melody or whatever, and then keep looping and layering and layering and layering and layering and stop. And then I'd just be like, where'd this come from? And that's my first record, like,
yes,
Sanguine, which came out in 2007. Like, a good friend of mine told me, I was like, I kind of want to make a CD. And he was like, well, you have to get it mastered. I was like, what's that?
Wait, Julianna, can I interrupt you? Because
yeah,
I'm really curious, because this seems like a very pivotal moment. This moment where you are going from, hey, I'm really into cat power. When you were writing those songs, this is just a parenthetical to this other question I'm going to ask you in a second.
Okay.
When you're writing those songs, are you writing them like, is it naturally flowing out of you? Or are you like, I got to sound like cat power. I want to sound like that. Or is it kind of like naturally, like what's happening? I'm very curious about this. Like you're doing this one thing and then you find this other thing that actually fits who you are as a person. And that transition is very interesting to me. So like what's going on when you're writing songs that are not exactly, when you're writing these cat powery songs that are not really who you are? Like, is it just you're just grinding it out just to do it? Like, why do it then?
Well, I was just like experimenting. And I mean, like, I have always, since I was a child, loved to sing in reverberant spaces. Like as a tiny child in church auditoriums or parking garages or stairwells or things like that. I've always loved to sing. And I would like make up little songs when I was really little kid and make myself cry with the emotion of my songs,
Wow.
And I still do that. Still doing it just many years later. So, I had a lot of influences. I kind of say the cat power thing is like kind of a joke, but I was just like trying to find my way. And I actually really still love the sound of the electric guitar with just like a ton of reverb. But, I'd seen cat power many times at that point, and that sound was just so beautiful. And I was like, just trying to write songs. I was also obsessed with like Bjork and Tori in high school. And, I think around this time I was like deeply into like Sufjan and Joanna Newsom and Animal Collective and Devendra. Like it was Brooklyn 2005. I mean, come on. Black Dice, all that good stuff. So I was just trying to find my way. And it just felt, I was never like stoked. I would make these songs and the lyrics would be lame, and I just wasn't like, it wasn't like turned on in my brain. And then when I started looping stuff, it was just perfect for my constitution.
Were you chasing something? Like when there's no outside, as someone who like has outside people telling them what to do, right? If someone buys a script of mine, they get to tell me basically, I can argue for things that I want, but they're telling me what to do. But when I make something of my own, right? It's me. I'm even trying to think back, like even to the early days, like when I was in a band in college, stuff like that, when no one's telling me what to do. I'm still kind of like, it's still flowing out of me. And I'm just curious of like, I know this is very inarticulate, but just like in this moment where you're experimenting, right? Are
Yeah.
you like, what are you searching for as you're experimenting? Because no one's telling you anything. No one's giving you
No.
notes.
No.
Like, but you know it's not right. But like, what is happening in that moment when you know it's not right?
I'm like bored by it.
Ah, yeah, for
It's
sure.
like not exciting for me. My brain isn't like I said, like isn't like turned on. Like there's that spark, you know?
And you're searching. I'm putting these words in your mouth, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. But you're searching for that spark. Like you're doing this, and you're like, that's not it. Right? Is that how it's going? Like you're kind of like, I said through like gritted teeth, but like, are you just like, no, that's not it. This is not it. This is not it. Is that
I
how
wasn't
the?
like frustrated or anything. I mean, it was fun. I was just having fun, like messing around. So, I got my guitar in 2001. I'd had this little Fostex for a few years, and I was just like messing around. Um, it wasn't like any like huge like I must figure out a cool way to make music that sets me apart or anything like that, you know? I was just experimenting and having fun, but I wasn't like I just hadn't found my voice yet or whatever, you know? It just hadn't clicked.
Sure,
It hadn't clicked
sure.
yet, you know? It wasn't like I mean, I'm sure like Suzanne Ciani felt the same way when she like met her Buchla, you know? It was just like, and here we go. Like this, I've done some other stuff, but this is this is my boyfriend.
Uh huh. So okay, so it's not like you are sitting there because in my mind, even when I'm experimenting, I still kind of liked the stuff I was doing in
Yeah,
some dimension. So you still liked it. It wasn't like you were sitting there like a scientist with a Bunsen burner, just being
yeah.
like, "No, I haven't figured it
Like
out
Beaker.
yet." Yeah. Yeah.
Um, no, I was just like tinkering
I see.
and with no real ambition or anything. And that kind of like 25 or 6 or however old I was then, like Julianna, who like the looping stuff clicked. I made all that stuff that was on my first record and you know was putting my CDRs or whatever they were under doors. Like, I look back on that time like, wow, because, I had gone from just like tinkering to doing something I was like, I love this. I like want to get this out there. And it was exciting, you
Yeah. So
know?
when you say you didn't have any ambition, like you went to New York, you moved to New York to go to college. I think you said Hunter, right?
Yeah, I was an art major. I did darkroom photography in college. Even though I did music my whole life, I was in choir starting in elementary school. I played clarinet starting in elementary school. I'm looking at the piano that I had in my house my whole life. Um, I took private voice in high school. I was in an opera chorus after high school. This is all in Tulsa. And just had that innate love of music. My mom is a beautiful singer. She's always singing or humming, and she has the most gorgeous voice. And at church, like our congregation sang a cappella in these like reverberant spaces. So it was just part of me, like just totally part of me. I gravitated towards choral music and soundtracks. I mean, I think back on this little kid too, and it's so funny because I like the same little kid that would like sing made up songs and like make themselves cry. And I'm that same person. Like when I was 6, 7, 8, I would check out soundtracks on vinyl from the library, take them home, listen to them, and teach them to myself on the piano I'm looking at. Like I can still play what I taught myself at 7 years old right now from Somewhere in Time soundtrack. score.
For
You know?
yeah.
Yeah. So that's all in there. It just got, in my years in the early 2000s, I was trying to find my voice, trying to find
Uh-huh.
how I liked making music.
Why photography though? So you say this, and this is the thing. I talk to people all the time, all different kinds of walks of life in terms of like, comic book writers and musicians and filmmakers, whatever, right?
Hmm.
And there is some version of this where it's like I've been, I was doing this from an early age. Very few people ever say it's like a fait accompli, where they're like, I knew what I was doing when I was 5. I chose
Yeah.
this, and I was always going to do it. Okay, and there's never any. I have plenty of friends who are funny people who work, who have like I was going to say normal jobs. I guess I'll say normal jobs is not pejorative. But
I
I'm just
know what
saying,
you
like,
mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So there's never any kind of necessity, right? So what happens where you're like, this is infused in your existential core, let's say,
Absolutely.
but you decide to go do photography instead. Like, what is that decision about?
That decision is about I didn't want to do music in college because I love it too much. I didn't want to have an assignment that I had to do over the weekend that was due on Monday that made me miserable.
Yeah,
I didn't want to do that with music. I
I
didn't.
get it.
I mean, um, I think about it now and like life is long and I could do this whenever I wanted to, but I wouldn't mind learning more about history and, actual, you know, writing on staff paper and things like that. I wouldn't mind learning more about that, but I just didn't want to do that in college. And my dad's dad had taught him darkroom photography, and my dad still had all of his darkroom stuff in larger trays, tongs, all that stuff. And he taught me in our bathroom at home.
Do you
He
have a little
taught
red
me,
light bulb and everything?
yeah, everything, all of it. And with like the little tongs with, my with Barwick etched in it that was my grandpa's. And so my dad taught me that in high school, and I was like, now I was like, I would love to learn more about this in school. That's totally fine, And I had a really great time at Hunter. I had an independent study with Roy De Carava, who's one of the most masterful photographers, black and white, beautiful. And I made a portrait once that he said was a perfect portrait. So I can like die knowing that Roy De Carava liked one of my photos a lot. So that gave,
Was it on a piece of paper? Can you frame it? Was it on a
yeah.
email? Yeah.
No, this was like this. He said it to me in person, and it was a print that I made in the darkroom. So it's all analog, baby. But yeah, I mean, darkroom photography is. I hold it in my heart. I mean, I love it so much, but it's obviously like a completely different center of my brain.
Yeah.
Um, Music is like an expression, it's fun experimentation. Um, Whereas with photography, I get really like laser focused and my goal is to make a perfect portrait. So when Roy said that to me, I was like, I love like composing ahead of time, spending the time to get the contrast just right. Like if there's a little fleck, if there's like a piece of dust, it's got to go, got to start all over again. Like that is a very different process
Uh-huh.
than my music making world.
Sure.
And as part of the reason why I chose to do photography in school, because that was in that zone and music was fun, joy and love and no grades, you
Yes.
know,
But
or anything like
also,
that.
this is the I've written down a couple things. So one of the things you said, I'm paraphrasing, but like you once you figured out loops, there was an ambition that formed.
Yeah, I think so.
So before that, there was nothing. There was no like. It's like music. I enjoy music. Music is part of me. This is really nice. It's joyful. It's fun. It's meaningful. But an I don't have a need to do it as a job. Am I
Right.
saying this correctly?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was for the love of it. Love it.
Yeah.
Still love it.
But once you figure something out, then what changed exactly in you, where it wasn't like this is nice on the side and I'll be a fashion photographer or whatever you were aiming for, or a fine artist, or
I mean, just in that moment when it clicked and I was just really excited by it. And I was thinking like I wouldn't mind like getting this out in the world. And I have always been such an obsessive music fan. So at that point, it was kind of like, do I have something here? Maybe,
uh-huh.
and I put it on like MySpace, and I had some people messaging me. I mean, one of my best friends, Roberto, Alado Negro Roberto, was one of the first people to like write me on MySpace, and like the subject was just like, yo, and the body was so dope, you know?
Uh-huh.
And we were best friends to this day, like that part of the social butterfly in me too. That's not me all the time, but it's in there. That part of me started like having a lot of fun with it too, like making connections with people. Um, it was like, oh, just very exciting to like
Yeah.
put it on the internet, in like 2006, and start making connections with people. I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's part of what I keep saying, like, just fits my constitution or whatever. Cause, like, eventually, that trip I took to London and Lisbon, I am still best friends with those people. That was almost 20 years ago. Like, we are, you know? And that's the part that I love about this most, honestly, is my
Yeah.
connection to people all over the place. I've got great friends in a bunch of different countries. That's just like such a wonderful part to this. That's what I love most about it, is that I've been able to connect with all of these cool people through music. I mean,
Okay.
there's so many things I love about it. I love so many things about it, but I think that's number one.
Yeah. So the ambition forms in this furnace of you figuring out not just what suits you, but also like this novel way of creating, right?
Yeah.
That also is this way of connecting with other people.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, were you missing that before this moment? Was it something you were searching for? Were you finding it in other places? Like, what was going on? Or was it just something that new that came out of like, you're making this music in a way that's both suits you and is somewhat novel, right? And suddenly it's connecting with people and you realize that that was something that you had been missing, or was something like, what's going on?
I mean, I wasn't like, a loner or anything at that time. I had a bunch of friends and in Brooklyn where I lived, and but I think it was just like the camaraderie within being a weird music maker, and it was just kind of like an amalgamation of like my like history. I mean, I have a chipped tooth from when I got front row sitter tickets to Tori Amos in 1997. I'm so excited. I like bit this ring. I was like, ah! Oh, I
Wait,
just chipped my tooth.
what did you bite?
Like
The
I
like,
had a ring. Well, like
oh,
I have a ring. I had a ring on it, and I went, and I bit my ring and I still have a Tori Amos chip in my tooth. Like I've always been like a music fanatic of all genres. I mean, like I stand John Williams
Yeah, of course.
hardcore. It's one of my total idols. But yeah, it was just like I mean, I my first job in New York City was answering phones at a hair salon at 6th and Spring in Soho. And these were the days of the bag of day old bagels
Hmm.
for sustenance for an entire week. And yet, I subscribed to the Other Music newsletter and, would have to go like spend $11 on a CD or, yeah, that was like CD time. The LP thing happened a few years later, I feel
Oh yeah, yeah.
like.
Once post 2008, when things started crashing and no one was making money anywhere, and then the idea of a physical object was
Yeah.
like the teens, really, right? When did vinyl really come back to play? Somewhere in the
I'm thinking back to like my boyfriend at that time, and that was definitely like it was like 2008, 2009 is when I remember starting to get records at Other Music.
Mhm.
And it would come with the little digital coupon,
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
So I was definitely buying records then. But before that, CDs, like all my Animal Collective, Joanna, blah, blah, all that stuff was on CD from
Yeah.
Other Music.
Yeah. Yes, but no, I very familiar. So,
Yeah.
like, I guess maybe I was inarticulate. Like, you hadn't been searching for a connection before, and then this comes along, and suddenly you realize that was a need. It was like
No.
being satisfied in other ways.
Yeah, it was just like icing on the cake.
Uh huh.
Like that Roberto is just an example, and then like the two guys, the Lisbon guy, Sergio Hidalgo, and the London guy, is Damien Roach, who's like an unbelievably dope artist. He's always gone by Patton, Patten. And he just did like he makes dope music, and he also just did the art for I think Daphne's new record, which is an alter ego of Caribou.
Uh huh.
Um, like just like such a cool artist. But this was 20 years ago, and this was literally like MySpace messages.
Hmm.
Like
I remember.
actually the connection, that was another kind of like I look back and I'm like, that was Drive. Whether you want to believe it or not, that was Drive because in like 2006, early 2007, I was a still am, huge Panda Bear fan.
Hmm.
Huge. And maybe Person Pitch had just come out or something. Just huge fan of Panda Bear. And like, you know, I moved to New York in 2001. So I had like 4 years of fanning over Animal Collective and Panda Bear and Avi Terror and all this stuff. And in like 2000, late six or something like that, Pitchfork ran an article about Noah recording like a thing for a blog, which was like an hour long, and it was like half performance and half interview.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa, because I hadn't really seen a lot of interviews from him. So I was really excited. And I saw like what blog name it was. And I went and I found it on MySpace and I friend requested in the hopes that he would like my music. And it worked. And he messaged me, and that ended up being Sergio, my Lisbon friend. And he was like, would you ever want to play in Lisbon? And I was like, yeah, totally broke. I'm like working in a photo studio, broke, trying to live in New York, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, I remember the days.
I had no idea how I was going to pull that off, and it was like early 2007, and we were talking like September, and I was like, I'll figure it out. Like I'm an eternal optimist. I've been called this several times. And so then, got that ball rolling with Sergio, and on his, blog, he put up a couple of my MP3s from Sanguine, which had just come out. And eventually, Damien from London messaged me. And he was like, I love this. This is so cool. Do you ever want to play London? And I was like, yep. Like, not knowing how that was going to happen.
But also, like, what would you say? Like, no.
Yeah,
No, I don't want
exactly.
to. I don't want to go to Portugal. I don't want to go to England. Why would I
Right?
want to do that? I live in America, the greatest country in the world. I don't have to
Oh,
leave.
yeah.
But wait,
So
you said you were an eternal optimist. Does that go back to childhood? Like you were,
I think so.
is that
Yeah.
just naturally like how your brain chemistry is?
Yeah. I had a shirt. You remember that cartoon character Ziggy?
Yes, I know Ziggy.
I had a shirt. It was my favorite shirt. I wish I still had it in my size. It was a red shirt and it was, like a glittery 80s decal and it said happy everything. Exclamation point was Ziggy. And that's just kind of like how I was as a kid. That's why when I went through my like sophomore year in high school, like I'm gonna start writing poems and like, go to my room and shut the door. My parents literally took me to be evaluated. They thought like I was like, losing my mind because I wasn't like la 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 like, all the time.
Wait, were you doing some goth Sylvia Plath thing as a just experiment? Like you're trying to fit it in, like see if this fits, or
It
were you
just
really
went
feeling it?
through like the high school blues, like I got dumped and, I was just like moody and writing poems and stuff. I feel like it's pretty typical. And I snapped out of it pretty fast. But yeah, I mean, pretty positive person,
Is
pretty
your family like that?
optimistic. I think so. I think so.
So you're surrounded. It's not just you have like a kind of like positive outlook. It's like you're surrounded. Who is it? It's your parents? Do you have siblings?
I have an older sister,
Older sister. Oh, right.
the
The lawyer.
Capricorn.
The lawyer.
Yeah.
So actually, let's work our way back up to this. So Louisiana, first 5 years. Doesn't really, do you think it gets into you at all? Like, where are you born?
Absolutely.
Like, what city?
West Monroe. Have you ever seen that show Duck Dynasty?
I've seen the like screen cap of it online.
I know them. Like I grew up with them.
Like literally
Yeah.
know them, or you mean you know that kind of person?
No, I know them. I went to like church camp with those people and church with them. Yeah, West Monroe, Louisiana. It's like all the way up in Louisiana. It's like nowhere near New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
My dad was a youth minister, so
Oh.
that was lots of church stuff. Lots of classes and summer camps and weekend retreats and all that stuff. I basically spent my entire summers at church camp, because my dad was directing it. And that's where I hung out with all like the Duck Dynasty people. Um, then we moved to Springfield, Missouri. I lived there from like 5 to 13.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we had like 16 acres and we had a herd of sheep. And that's where we had the magic place. It was like this crazy little tree that was like, it was magical. It was really cool. And then when I was 13, we moved to Tulsa. And like that's where I went to high school and, chipped my tooth, when I got Tori Amos tickets at what used to be the Brady Theater. And then I moved to New York.
Yeah. Okay. So what's prompting these moves? Is it your dad's being, goes to a different church, like he gets hired? I really don't know how, like, how does a youth pastor work? What denomination?
Church of Christ. It's like a real Southern, Christian
Is that evangelical?
branch. Yes. Yes. And the move to Springfield was another job. And then he decided that he wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
So at 13, we moved to Tulsa and my dad went to med school.
Okay. Do you know what prompted that shift?
I think a little bit of a bunch of things. He'd always wanted to be a doctor. There's like a picture that my grandpa took, like an actual like darkroom photo of him in like a doctor outfit, and he's like 4 years old. And I don't know. I mean, I think about it and it's wild to me. And it's here I am doing it again. I find myself in nearly every not every conversation, but I mean, I end up telling this story because it had a profound effect on me. Like he was 43 when he went to medical school, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that just really showed me like you can do whatever you want in this life.
Uh-huh.
You can really do whatever you want if you have the will, if you have the drive. Because that was not easy. Because he was still working full time at the church, like 9 to 5 vibes. We were super poor. So to do his prereqs, he would, he was an English major. So he would teach English classes at the university right there by the church so he could take his prereqs for free. So he's teaching English classes, taking prereqs, working full time at the church to eventually go to medical school. Meanwhile, we had a herd of sheep. We had 3
Uh-huh.
horses. It was me and my sister at home. I was like 11, 12 when he started this. She was like 15, 16. So it's kind of,
You tended the sheep?
oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like my dad's little helper. So my sister was like, no. But I was like totally into it. I like I helped him trim their hooves. You have to do all that stuff.
Do you
Like feeding.
shear them?
Yeah.
And then what do you sold the sheep fur?
Sheep fur. We took the wool somewhere. I can't remember. It
Well,
went
thank you.
it went somewhere. That's so funny. But yeah, that was like, I mean, I'm older than 43 now, and thinking about doing that, whew, it's crazy. So it really had an effect on me, like just made me feel like if you set your mind to it, you can do anything. Because that could not have been easy.
No. No, not at all. My dad around the same time, he was generic business guy. I don't know. He worked like he was vice president of something or other at some computer thingamajig.
Yeah.
The boss was an alcoholic and he ruined the business. And
Shit.
so my dad never even wanted to be doing that anyway.
Yeah.
He wanted to be an urban planner. There was a glut of urban planners in the 70s, so he got this job because he had a family and he wanted to support his family. And
Yeah.
he pivots in the 90s, goes back to school, becomes an accountant. He really likes being an accountant. I mean, he's retired now, but like he loves it.
Yeah.
And in the 90s, I remember him doing the same kind of thing your dad did, which was have a job and then go to school at night or, however it works. But like, yeah, you do those two things at once. It was very stressful, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But I didn't take anything. I took a different lesson, which was, he didn't want to be doing the thing he was doing anyway. So why am I bothering? Why should I just get a job? Why should I have a family? First of all, I guess that was one of the lessons. I'm like, I don't want a family. And then, I don't want to just get a job just to survive. I want something that means something.
Yes, totally. Totally. I mean, I think that was obviously in there.
Yeah.
Like you can do anything. You can, and I lived in New York City. It's like, if you're not motivated, that city does one of two things to you. You're either like, the energy, like
Yes.
feeds you,
Mm-hmm.
and motivates you,
Yep.
because everywhere you look are people who are motivated and driven in whatever they're doing. So that relentless energy of motivation in New York City either motivates you also, or it tears you down, because it is not an easy place to be. But in my case, it totally just motivated me so much. And
Yeah.
I just, everywhere I looked, I was like, yes. I mean, I remember my first boyfriend there was an artist, period. And it kind of blew my mind. It was like one of the only people I'd really known in my life at that point that was an artist, period. Like he wasn't like bartending and dog walking and in a group show on Friday. That's all he did. And that was really inspiring too. And that was like, seriously, when I met him, I don't think I'd put my stuff on MySpace yet, but I had the tapes. I had the pillowcase tapes. I had the stabbing motion pillowcase of tapes. But that was inspiring too. But that's part of New York also. It's like, there's just people like that everywhere. And you're like, wow, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So wait, was your grandfather religious? Like what is, why does your dad become a youth pastor in the first place?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like everybody was religious till me and my sister. Oops.
What happened with you guys? Is it just like you didn't like the lessons, the structures? It just didn't naturally, you didn't have faith? Like what happened?
Yeah, we just didn't buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe in science.
Yeah.
And history. I don't believe in blind faith. And I certainly, and this really started in high school, when in high school, before I could even drive, I was like hanging out with, the derelict section of high school kids in Tulsa, the skater kids. We would go clubbing, like they were doing lots and lots of drugs. I was too scared to because of God or whatever, or dad. More likely dad than God.
And in the evangelical movement, those two things are kind of intertwined, correct?
Yes, yeah. And I was just like too scared to do it, but they were all doing it, What was this leading to?
Faith.
Oh, so my friends were freaks, like I am now, was then, and like a lot of my friends were gay or whatever, and at church there was a lot of like homosexuals are going to go to hell and stuff like that. And I was like, no, not for me. Because my stance, I think this is what I said in high school, and I still completely stand by it. It's like, I'm not going to belong to any organization that hates people. I'm not going to do that. And I still stand by that. Or, judges people or points down at people. That's not good. I don't want to belong to anything that says that. I don't want to be associated with anything that says, I hate this kind of person. This person is doing it wrong. Not into it.
It's also not really, I say this whenever I talk to someone on the show who grew up evangelical, but like none of that stuff is really in. I mean, there's like some of the like kind of like crazy stuff in my part. Sorry, I'm Jewish. In my part of the Bible, there's kind of the furious God type shit. But like your part of the Bible has Jesus, which is all turn the other cheek, and the stuff about like being gay is like one or two very mistranslated lines from like, the original scrolls or the Greek or whatever. So like, It's not even, it's so weird to like build an entire teaching off of like one or two mistranslated lines. So fuck
Yeah.
out of here is what I say. But
Me too.
yes, I get it.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not going to do it. Still
But
not going to do it. Not doing
yeah.
it.
But it never got. So this is interesting though. Like the music of everything got in you, but the words, the meaning, the teachings, you were just like, no.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that like 100% of the Bible or 100% of my experience with the people of the church or anything like that was negative. I mean, I loved so many of the people. I think there are valuable lessons in the Bible. Sure.
Sure,
Like take the good from whatever, but
sure.
doesn't mean I have to subscribe to, this um organization or this set of beliefs or anything like that. I just didn't buy it.
So was it really your dad changing occupations that kind of? Sorry, I'll interrupt the question to to explain where I'm coming from. But like I'm thinking about how the lessons of evangelical, whatever version of evangelicalism one subscribes to, is very like patriarchal, kind of like anti-feminist type.
Yeah, that too. That's part of it too.
And I'm curious why I asked about like, was it your father changing occupations that kind of like gave you a spark? I'm curious about like when you grow up in that kind of atmosphere, how do you form your own ambition? How do you form your own existential desires if you have something that's kind of reinforcing a line of thinking that tells you that you are supposed to be subservient?
I think that, and my sister too, somehow. I think that we've just always had a rebellious nature. I mean, it's a funny story, but when I was like 3 years old, an old friend of my parents, I mean, by the time I was three, my parents had been married for 13 years. So somebody from their church days came and ate dinner with us one night. And we all held hands to pray, bowed our heads, held hands to pray before dinner. And it ends, and I look up at I think it was a guy. I'm like 3 years old, and I look at him dead in the eyes and I say, "We never pray." And my parents and this guy just start laughing because everybody knows it's not true. But I'm like mischievous and like trolling at 3 years old, which still totally tracks. Totally tracks. I think even despite, the patriarchal teachings of the Bible, and I certainly didn't see a woman up on that stage my whole life. I went to church 3 times a week plus because my dad worked there. You know, it was all man, 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 man vibes, and I was just born with a little bit of a rebellious nature, a mischievous nature, a questioning nature.
And your parents nourished that?
I don't think they could do much about it.
But they didn't try to snuff it out. They didn't try to stop it. They weren't like, now you have to, you would say something like, "We don't usually pray," and then they're like, "Go to your room."
They had to laugh because it was absurd.
They didn't have to. They didn't have to. They could have punished you.
Yeah. But, I was just like a little 3-year-old, It was just kind of like a what in the world kind of thing. I mean, if I'd been 13, they would have been like, "What's wrong with you?"
But would they have punished you? What I'm curious about is like, you have this spirit in you. And I'm curious in a lot of people, well, how does that survive? Right? Because there's a lot, especially if you grew up in a very religious context, right? There's a lot that should be snuffing it out, but
they tried
makes its way. Oh, in what ways? Like how?
I mean, in church, they're like telling you what you should be, what you should and shouldn't do. And I mean, like for another example is like, I remember trolling my youth group. At like 14 or 15, everyone's like crying about something and oh my God, Jesus and all this stuff. And we like were taking turns asking questions like to the group and just to troll everyone, just to freak everyone out. I was like, guys, how do you know if you're a lesbian? Just to watch them squirm.
And it worked?
I feel like you can't take that away from somebody. If that's in somebody, it's hard to snuff out.
Julianna, it's
Because I'm
almost as if
still this way.
almost as if you were not raised in America.
And I mean, my dad is no joke. I mean, that's another topic for another day. But there was a lot of fear there. Fear God, fear dad, like, but I still lied a lot, did a lot of stuff.
So, okay. Well, I mean, I guess
But
that's the thing.
The thing is like, I kept up my deal in the bargain. I still made, at least to be average in school. I got up every Saturday morning to wait tables at the Teacup in Jinx, Oklahoma, because I had to have a job to pay for my like gas and cigarettes. And every Sunday morning I went to church, and every Sunday night I went to church. But every Saturday night I was downtown Tulsa at Icon dancing my face off with my friends who were on crank.
So you just you lived a parallel life along with like your parents' wishes.
1,000%. But I was doing bad stuff, but I was still doing everything I was supposed to do. In school, I had a job, and I went to church. I mean, if you think about it, I didn't sleep in once in high school. Not once. Because I went to school Monday through Friday, worked on Saturdays, and went to church like pretty much all day Sunday. You know what I mean? So,
what was your first inkling that like this wasn't, I don't know how to phrase this. This wasn't correct. This wasn't for you. This was too constricting. However you want to characterize it. Like, what was your first inkling that it didn't feel right?
I have memories of being a child and thinking, these people are phony, man.
Real Holden Caulfield shit.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, that book really resonated, obviously, when I finally read it. But, like, just something phony. And, I mean, the actual pivotal moment, and I hesitate in making this entire interview about my father for lots of reasons, but I might as well go ahead and say this, is that the leaving the church to go do medical school there's a little bit of like, I was made to feel that I don't know if that's the right way to put it. I can't think. I don't know. But, I felt at 11, 12 years old that the church had wronged my dad and he was making a career change.
Oh.
That's how I felt. I would look over at my mom in church and she'd be crying. I'd be like, what's going on? She's like, and I'd be like, so that was the thing. So in a lot of ways, I was like, screw this. I already have my questions. I already don't like a lot of these people. But like, now you've wronged my dad. So
that was like the tipping point, really.
Yeah.
So I guess we're right at the end. I'm just kind of curious. Did you have a want for your life then? Did you have a thing in these years, in the years between, let's say, Missouri and then into Oklahoma? Was there a thing you wanted for your life? Or was it just, I'm going to push against, I'm going to have this kind of secret life. I'm going to push against against this religious world that I've kind of been raised in, and I'm just kind of existing in it. I don't have like a future. I'm not aiming towards anything in the future. Or did you have something you wanted for yourself?
I didn't know what it was, but I wanted to have a special life. I wanted to do something fun. I didn't want to stay in Oklahoma. Like after I lived in New York for a bit, I don't remember how long, I was like looking through an English teacher of mine in like, I was like a junior or something. Um, he would have a question on the board. I don't know if it was every day, but and we would write our answers. And I just found a stack of those from that class. And it said, and I was like 15. I honestly don't think I was driving yet. So maybe it was like a sophomore or something. And it said, if you could live at one place in the world, where and why? And I was like, New York City, for sure,
Mm-hmm.
because of the art and the music and I'd never been there. Um, the art, the music, the fashion, the lifestyle, like I was like, I would be looking for Bjork, on the subway. And I would love to go there just to visit all the museums and go to the shows and see my favorite musicians and then I would figure out how to move there was the last line.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't even remember thinking this in high school, but it was in there. It was definitely in there.
Not to Columbo this, but one last question.
Okay.
Because the thing that I've been thinking about is a number of times as we've talked, you've linked crying specifically, but emotional responses with music.
Oh yeah.
And I was wondering if when you were growing up, were you allowed to feel emotions outside of music? Were you encouraged to feel emotions? Were you given space to, or was that the only space where you could feel emotion?
Oh no. I definitely I wouldn't say I was like an overly emotional kid, but like even just the other day, in our family group text thread, the time that I was like 3 or 4 years old and was watching Lassie Come Home, Comes Home, Lassie Comes Home, something. And it was on, and I was like sitting in front of it watching it. My mom like turned around, and then I wasn't there anymore. And she went and found me, and I was in my bed just like crying my eyes out because Lassie came home, you know? So I definitely I don't have any memories of being told like stop that, don't do that. Um I yeah, I'm a highly sensitive person, big feelings, and music moves me just on a basic level. It moves me to tears. It really does. Gives me goosebumps. It's yeah, it always has had that effect on me.
Yeah.
Whether I'm making it or if it's coming out of my body or if I'm listening to it. It's just been a daily part of my existence for
Yeah.
my whole
Yeah.
life.
No, I like this narrative that you've built as we've talked, where it feels like, and you said it yourself, like I wanted a special life. And it seems like whenever there's like some kind of roadblock in the way of that, you kind of like a tributary forms out of this river where you can follow that tributary out, whether it's the church or your parents or something like that, where you can, or whether it's just even experiment like, this doesn't feel right, this kind of music I'm making, until you find the right thing you wanted. I like that.
Yeah. And also, I don't ever feel like I was in a rush.
Mm.
I wasn't like, I must I must play at Bowery Ballroom next year or I suck. or anything like that. Like it took a minute. Like it was 2005, 6. At the end of 2007, I did those shows in London and Lisbon, and everything kind of snowballed from there, seriously. But I wasn't like in a huge rush. I was just like having a good time and kind of letting everything evolve naturally, you
I
know?
love that. Julianna, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is really fun.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bio, 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 bio.